Hi guys, thanks for watching my new tutorial. We're going to learn how to make the necessary clutch wallet by Emmaline or Emmaline. I'm not sure how it's pronounced. I will post a link below for the pattern if you want to buy it, if you haven't already. I will help you figure out how to put this beautiful wallet together. It is a great pattern. I absolutely love it. It's got so many little slots. It's got 12 card slots on it. You can even fit like a phone in the middle. It's got a zipper pocket right here. And it is a great everyday wallet. And once you learn to get the hang of sewing this together, it just comes together so easily after you give it a couple of goes. I added a little wristlet strap to it, and enjoy the video. Okay, so let's talk about everything we need for this wallet. It is an awesome wallet. Once you get the hang of it and you get how everything is put together, it goes together pretty easy. So the three interfacings that I like to use the most for this one, which I watched and learned from other people, that's how I figured it out, is Woven Fuse, which is also SF101 by Pellon, but I like to use the Woven Fuse from gotinterfacing.com. I will put a link below where you can get it. So the Woven Fuse, Decaville Light, which is also from Got Interfacing. I like to use that. It just gives it a good feel. And then I like to use 809 by Pellon for a lot of the pieces as well. So for the body of the piece, I am using some vinyl. I'm not interfacing that. It's thick enough, it doesn't need anything. I am protecting it where I put the snap though. So I just put a couple pieces of the Decaville Light on there to protect the prongs from the snap. On the other body piece, I put a layer of Decaville Light. You can also do the 809. Yeah, you could do either one. I've learned from watching other people a cool trick about turning it right side out by slitting this hole in the middle. So I'll explain to you how to do that. Basically, you want to find the center of your piece by folding it both ways, mark it, and then you measure a 6-inch slit and you cut into it. That's going to be on the bottom of your wallet. It's not going to show when you're done, and it makes turning pretty awesome. So you might want to do that. Then all the other pieces, 809. Card slots, 809. So my front flap is going to be this pretty flower material, and it's just a quilting cotton. And so I did one layer of the Woven Fuse, which is the SF101 too, if you want to use that, and 2 layers of Decaville Light. And that's all I'm going to use on that. And then on the back side, I'm doing the matching vinyl, and I didn't back it with anything, but I did protect the snap again with a couple layers of Decaville Light, so the snaps won't go through. I am going to do all the inside pieces of the wallet first, and then do the outside pieces. The pattern doesn't do it that way, but I feel like it's kind of more of an order, and I like it. So we're going to start with the card slots. The card slots, it has you do it in 2 different pieces on the pattern, but I'm doing it in just one big piece. So I just doubled whatever the pattern said. I doubled the length of it, so the width stays the same. So my piece is 16 by 16. So what I did for the card slots is when I mark the back, hopefully you can see this. See that? That's what it is. Okay, so when you mark the back and you measure, you can get a scorer, which I don't know if that's a normal tool to have or not. I have this for leather and it works great for scoring fabric. So I'll take this and I'll do a line with my scorer pretty firm, and then I'll get my marker and I'll mark the line as well. And so when all your lines are done and you go to fold it like a fan, so you just fold it just like a fan, they fold so easily because you've already scored the lines where they need to fold. I hope that makes sense. I discovered that and it works so nice and gives me such good crisp lines. And then you go and you press this. So after you get your card slots all folded and made, you're going to just top stitch each of the tops. So there should be 3 rows that you're going to top stitch. Okay. Okay, all top stitched. Now you want to sew your sides down, and then I have sectioned my cards off already, and you should have 4 even sections. I'm going to sew the sides here, and then I'm going to sew down each side of this middle line. I'm not going to sew through the middle line. I'm going to sew just to the side of it, because then we're going to cut down this middle line to make 2 card slots. I'm not even going to lift mine out. I'm just going to go over one and then go up the other side of it. Okay. So do you see how I did that? I just sewed down the middle. So my sides are sewn, my middle is sewn, and I'm going to cut down the middle of that line. Where are my good scissors? There they are. Okay, so now we have these 2. And I'm also going to measure those because mine come out a little bit bigger than they're supposed to be. Okay, I try really hard not to give out too many measurements because you need to buy the pattern. And I don't want to give away the pattern, but you need to make sure these are the right size before you sew them together. So I've got my card slots made, and I am going to put right sides together. And I am going to do a stitch along the bottom of these. Try and line them up as best you can. And I think your seam allowance is about 1/4 for most of this pattern. Okay, so now you've got that. I'm gonna go and I'm going to press this open, and then we'll do the next part. Okay, I got that all, I ironed it out flat, got it all put together. Now we're going to separate our card slots. So we should have marked down the middle of this. If not, go ahead and do that. And then we're gonna sew down that line. One thing I've learned is that when you come to the actual card slot pieces, you may wanna like back stitch once there to give it a little extra support for cards coming in and out. It might help it stay better when you're using it so much. So go ahead and sew down the middle to separate those slots. And my stitch length is about a 4.5 for most of this. And you're gonna go all the way to the other side. Okay. Okay, so I got my card slots there. Okay, so you should have 6 on each side. Now you want to take your card slot backing and put them right sides together. And if they don't line up exactly, that's okay. Okay, and just clip that. Now with this, we are just sewing along the top of each side. We're not sewing, here, I'll show you this way. We're sewing along the tops, not along the sides, okay? Okay, and then we want to turn this right side out. If it wrinkles a little too much, go and press it after you turn it. Which I think I'm gonna do real quick. I'm gonna go press this. Okay, I pressed this, I turned it right side out, and now you're just gonna top stitch along where we just sewed it together. Okay. Okay, that is done. We can put that aside, okay? That's what it looks like. We can put it aside. Now we want to get our zipper pocket pieces. Got my zipper, and I'm going to put on zipper tabs. And then you should have 2 pieces for the inside of the pocket, 2 pieces for the outsides, okay? So go ahead and sew on your zipper tabs. So you're gonna place them right sides together. Okay. And just sew them just along here, 1/4 inch seam allowance. Do it on both sides. Okay. And then you're gonna, so that's what it should look like right now. And then you're just gonna flip them just like that. Okay, both sides. And then we're just gonna top stitch the zipper tabs. If your machine struggles with going over zippers, just go slow. It really helps if you go slow. Okay, so there's my zipper. So I'm going to take, make sure you're doing it on the right. There should be one side that's bigger than the other. So on the bigger side, and you're gonna get your zipper. You're gonna place them right sides together. Your zipper should be to the left. Oh, I need to trim down my tabs real quick, sorry. Make them even with my zipper. Okay. So, again, zipper to the left, line them up, try and get it centered as best you can. I'm going to just top stitch that on there. Sometimes that's just easier. Okay. If your zipper tab is a little bit bigger than your piece, that's totally fine because you can trim that. It's not a big deal. So see, I just basted it to my zipper pocket. So then you want to get your pocket piece right side down on top and make a sandwich. I usually pull my zipper out of the way. And then, so this is what we're looking at. Your zipper's in between, face down on your main bigger piece. And we're gonna sew that together. 1/4 inch, about a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Or not seam allowance, yeah. I get stitch length and seam allowance. I mix those up all the time when I talk, so. Okay. So that's what we have. I'm going to top stitch that. And then you're going to do the other side. I'm going to trim this down just a little bit. Okay, so you're going to get your other big pocket piece. Make sure you have it going the right way. You're going to take your piece that you just did on top, so the zipper should be face down. Your right sides should be together. I'm gonna baste that in place. You don't have to. You can just put the other piece on top, but sometimes I feel it's easier just to baste it in place first. And then you're gonna put this one on top, right sides together. So you shouldn't see the right side of anything right now. It's all wrong sides out. Okay, and you're going to put that on top and sew that into place. Okay, and then I'm going to top stitch that. Uh-oh. Sorry, something funky happened with my thread. Yep, I heard it. Gotta love that. Okay, try that. Is everything okay? All right, try that again. Sometimes you can't see what happens, but you can hear it. All right, let's try that again. There we go. All right. Okay, so this is what we should have. Okay, zipper's there. Your pocket pieces are here. We're going to fold this in half, matching up the ends. This part is kind of confusing if this is your first time making it, because you're like, the pocket isn't sewn shut. Well, we'll sew it shut when we put the whole wallet together. Kind of cool. Okay. Like that. So we're going to sew along all these edges, not along the zipper part, obviously. Okay, and then we'll flip it right side out. Okay. Okay. We're going to trim it down to an 1/8 inch seam allowance. And I don't think that the pattern tells you to do the pockets this way. I learned this from watching other people, and I like this way. If you want, you can do it the way the pattern tells you to do it. But when we put it all together, we're doing a seam at the very end that closes this up for the pocket. So I've trimmed it down, and I'm just going to turn that right side out. I've seen this done without zipper tabs, and it works. It's just super bulky because it's already kind of bulky right there. And when you do the zipper tabs, it makes it even bulky, or without the zipper tabs, it makes it even bulkier. So I have done it with both, and I prefer the zipper tabs. Kind of get everything out. I'm telling you, this little tool right here, I know it's a leather working tool, but I use it a lot in just my sewing. Because if I use like little wooden chopsticks, I have broken so many of those. They're not strong enough for me. Okay. You can go press that if you want. I don't think I am. I think it's pretty good. Okay, and then you're just gonna top stitch. So there's my zipper at the top. Okay, you're just gonna top stitch along the sides, the bottom, and up here, because this part, when your wallet is done and it's folded, is going to be, you know, a top part of another piece. So you want to top stitch that. And another thing, because this part is kind of bulky, I actually start stitching down here. I just can't make it look nice when I try to stitch over this big bulky area right here. So I start my stitch kind of about right there and go around. Okay, so you have your insides done. That's it for the inside of your wallet. Okay, now when you're done with this, you're gonna want to take it and fold it up. I line it up with the very top of my zipper, so it's about like that. Okay. And I'm going to pin that in place and then put some double-sided tape on the bottom of this for when we put our whole wallet together. If you do it now, then you'll remember, and it'll have a chance to kind of adhere really good. So just like that, okay? And then I'm going to put some double-sided tape on the bottom right here. Actually, that's too wide. Just my skinny stuff. Okay, just like that. Okay, and you can set that piece aside. Next, we are going to work on the flap. So take the flap pieces. First, we need to install our snap. So, okay. Grab your male piece. Can't believe I can't get those apart. Okay. There we go. Your male piece, and you're going to mark oh, another thing that I did is I folded this in half and I clipped my centers, okay? Then you can take your ruler and kind of see where your centers are from your clips. Just tiny, tiny snips, nothing big. So you want to go an inch up from the center, okay? And that's where you want your snap to go. Okay. And then go ahead and put your snap on. Don't forget your washer. You need that washer on there. Okay. Okay. I got your snap on. Again, this is my inside piece, not my outer. This is my inside. Okay, so put that to the side. And then you want to get your other flap out. We're going to do right sides together. And we're going to do a fourth inch stitch around the side. Do not sew this top part because you have to turn it back right side out. So you need a turning spot. So don't sew the top. And I go super slow on this. You don't need to go fast. Go super slow, and you can do different shapes. You don't have to do this exact shape that they give you. You can change it more square, more rounded. It's up to you. And I do shorten my stitch length because it's easier to go slow and control when you have a shorter stitch length. I use my hand crank a lot. If you have an industrial, it really helps go around really hard little turns and stuff. Use it. More control than your foot. Okay. Okay, now I'm just going to trim this up to about 1/8, and then I'm going to flip it right side, and then top stitch it. Okay. I love looking at the flap. It's so fun. Kind of gives you an idea of what your wallet's going to look like after you do it. Okay. Okay. Obviously I need to work it with my fingers and get it all flattened out, and then I'm going to top stitch it. When you top stitch, just be aware of your snap here. I do remember now, sometimes I wait until after I'd top stitched to add that because sometimes it got in the way. I would make the slits and the marks for it and everything, and then after I top stitch, I would go in there and I would add it. I'll see if it interferes or not. Yeah. Good. All right, top stitch that down. Yeah, my snap is okay. It's not really in my way. That's good. Okay. So awesome. So that's what your flap is like. You're snapping the back. Another thing that I like to do that is not in the pattern, because the pattern calls for an extra piece along the edges. So, and I think when you do that, it's nice because it kind of holds the two pieces together. What I like to do is I like to do 2 stitches from here to about here and here to about here, and it kind of holds my flaps together. I'll kind of show you what I mean. Let's see. Okay. So I start at the corner here and mark out along the bottom about 3 inches in. And then I go from the top corner of the flap down to where I marked 3 inches in. And I'm gonna draw a line down that way. And I'm gonna go to the other side and do the same thing. You don't have to do this either. I just like the way this makes my flap stay and look. I don't know if you can see my 2 lines, and I'm gonna sew along those lines. gonna burn those ends real quick. Okay. That's what my flap looks like. Okay, so the outside piece of your wallet, and again, I folded it in half and I gave myself some snips, my center snips. I don't know if you need them on the ends. I think I did all four just in case, I forget. So I did my center snips. I put my reinforcement down for my snap. So you're gonna need to install your snap. You can do it two different ways. I've made it two different ways. It makes it a little bit so you can fit a little bit more if you do 2.25, or you can do it 2.5 down from your center. I'm gonna get my longer ruler so I can find exactly where. So I put it down my center on both sides, which is why I did my snips. And I'm going to measure down. I'm going to do this one at 2.25 and see how it turns out. The recipe, I don't know if I said that. I keep thinking recipe. If I said it, I'm sorry. The pattern calls for 2.5. I'm doing 2.25. Okay, and then we get our snap. Center on there as best you can. Okay, don't forget your washer. Put that on there. Okay. Beautiful. There it is. So after you get your snap on, you're going to take your flap and you want to see both your snaps. Okay, so it should be the it should be the inside of your flap against this part. So I did center snips on my flap. So I know exactly where the center is on both of them, which turns out nicely. So I place that there. I'm going to clip it. Okay. The other thing you can do after you get this is you can fold this up, snap it, and see if it looks about even. I think it does. I think that looks good. It snaps in the right spot. Okay, we're going to top stitch that flap on there. Okay, I'm going to top stitch that. I mean, not top stitch. Baste. That's the word I'm looking for. We're going to baste that on there. Sorry, guys. So I am going to add a D-ring right here for a wristlet because I want to be able to put this on my wrist too. So so this is where you would put that on. You would put it on up here. I cut out two different pieces. They're 1 inch wide and this one's 14 inches long. I think you could do 16. It might be a little bit better. This one's 14 and this one's 4 by 1. And I'm going to make those into little straps so we can use the wallet as a wristlet as well. So I'm going to go ahead and do that real quick. And I'm just folding my edges to the center. And I'm going to just sew along the edges of that. Okay, I just folded them in, and I'm gonna just sew along the edges. Okay, super simple. I've seen this wallet have so many different ways to do this little wristlet and where to put it. This is probably too long. I'm gonna shorten it. You could probably do a piece that's 2.5 and you would have enough, but that's what we're looking at for that. And I'm pretty much gonna do the same thing for this piece. I just dropped it. Just folding it into the centers. So I finished that up just like the bottom strap. I'm going to take my little clip. It's just a 1/2 inch small clip. I'm going to put it through one end. I'm going to stick this in between it, just like that. And I'll probably, yeah, that's good size. I'll sew it, and then I'm probably when I do all my rivets, I'm gonna go and put a rivet right there as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and sew that right now. Not much, because right here. Okay. So there's my little wristlet. So that's pretty easy. So I'm gonna take my little D-ring and I am going to put it, I'm gonna do it on this side. So just kind of, I don't know, you eyeball it. I'm guessing I have about 1 inch here above and below. So I've got 1 inch below and 1 inch above, and I'm just gonna trim that down after I sew it on. So I'm just gonna baste that. Same place that we did the flap. And I'm gonna trim that down. Okay. So there's my little D-ring right there, okay? Next, you're going to want to piece these two together. So you got your, there's no right or wrong with this one. Oh, and don't forget, if you're gonna do it like I am in the video, you need to put a slit on this inside piece. It's 6 inches long. It's from the center out, so 3 inches each way. We're gonna turn the wallet through this slit. So you're gonna put that on top, right sides together. The other thing you can do, which is the reason why I usually like to do my center snips, is I can line them all up right now, which I forgot to do on this bottom piece, so I'll show you. It's very easy. I do this on a lot of my patterns, whether it tells me to or not. It just makes it easier to line up things when you're putting everything together, to already have those little snips in there. Just makes your life a lot easier. Okay. So I'm putting that right on top, and I'm gonna line up my centers, okay? It's gonna be quite a few clips here. center here. Once you get the hang of this wallet, it goes together pretty dang fast. It's taken me quite a few tries though. So don't be discouraged. First time it took me a long time. All right, so we're going to just sew all the way around this. We're not going to leave any openings because this is our turning hole, okay? Trust me, it works. I thought it was weird at first too, but it totally works. I do about a 1/4 inch seam allowance all the way around. I usually start on my flap side. I don't think it matters, but that's just, I sit there and I reinforce that a little bit. And I go over my D-ring a couple times as well. All the way around. We're gonna trim this down. Trim your seam allowance down. I don't trim down around my flap though. I leave that just the way it is because I don't wanna weaken that stitch. But the rest of it you can trim down. Okay, here's where the magic happens. We gotta turn this right side out. Just go slow. You don't want to rip. I've ripped that lining piece before. It's not too big of a deal if it's just a little rip, but you don't want to completely rip it. Okay. It's awesome. It's my favorite part. I love turning the bags out and seeing what you did on the wallets. Okay, that's what we should have right now. Okay, we're going to top stitch along this. I'm just gonna go like this and just kind of make sure everything looks good. Oh yeah. That's gonna look so pretty. Look at that. Okay. If you have all cotton, you can go and you can use heat and iron it. I have vinyl and I do not want to melt my vinyl. So I'm just gonna do good finger press and top stitch it all. Seems to work pretty good usually. Okay. I'm going to top stitch that. Go slow. No need to go fast. Make sure your flap is laying flat out. I don't know why it wouldn't be, but just in case. I'm protecting my vinyl by doing that. Sometimes when you go over a bump like this flap, the back of a walking foot can rip your vinyl. So I just put a scrap there just to get over that bump to make sure it doesn't rip. I have ruined many wallets and bags before I learned that trick. Okay. You got the outside of your wallet done, you got your insides done. Time to put it together. Okay, it's time to put all of our pieces together. So we're gonna get our body piece, then we're gonna get our card slots. We're going to lay the card slots on top, center it up. There should be just like maybe a 1/4 inch space. Well, at least there's on mine. Yours might be different. There's like a 1/4 inch space from the top and the bottom. Just center that in the middle of the piece. And then you're gonna get your zipper pouch. Make sure your zipper's going the right way. And you're gonna lay that on top. Oh no, not yet, sorry. Not yet, I'm getting ahead of myself. You're gonna do this first. Put your zipper piece away. You're gonna take, all right, with that there, you're gonna take your edges and you're gonna fold them in like that as best you can right up next to your card slots, okay? You're gonna do that on both sides, just like that. Okay, so this is what we have. We are going to sew down the sides, down here on both sides. And what I try and do is kind of match up my top stitching on the flap with the top stitching that I'm gonna do on this body piece. Okay. It's about a fourth inch on mine, at least. Okay. So I did one side, that's what that looks like. And then you kind of open this up and see if you see any raw edges, and I don't. Do you see how it's all covered? That's good, we got it all in there. So we don't have to worry about that. It's not a big deal. If you still see some raw edges, just go right up next to this a little bit farther in and do another stitch line, and it'll sew it right in there. Not a big deal, it's fixable. I've done that before too. All right, and then you just do the other side. Next, we need to get the zipper pouch piece. All right. You can kind of fold it up again, see how we're looking. We're looking pretty good, right? Okay, everything's lining up, everything's matching. So we're going to open that up. We're going to get our zipper pouch piece. We put that double-sided tape on the bottom there. That's hopefully kind of the center of your piece, okay? And we're gonna take that backing off of the tape. And I try and put it on my card slot seam down here as best I can. Make sure the zippers go on the way you want it to when you do this. And it should fit right in between your flaps there. Okay. Trying to show you so you can get a good idea. Do you see that? Okay. So trying to figure out the best way. I kind of have a crease where my center is. What I'm going to do, we're gonna sew onto this piece now, and it's gonna sew it to the whole thing. I have this little 1 inch by 6 inch ruler. I try and figure out where that center is. I can see because I had it folded. You can take it off and you can mark it first. But I am going to just mark all the way around this ruler, and that is going to be where I'm going to stitch my pocket down. Now, when I was sewing on just a domestic machine, this part my machine struggled with. So just be forewarned if you're on not an industrial, your machine may be able to handle it. Mine did not. So it may be a little bit difficult because there's so many, because you're sewing through all these layers. So I drew a 1 inch by 6 inch box on the bottom of here. Hopefully that's about, yep. And I am going to sew around that. My threads off real quick. Okay. That's what it looks like from the inside. That's what it looks like from the outside. So that's the bottom of our wallet. So when we fold it, all these flaps are going to go up and in. Just like that. This comes down. Looks good. I forgot to do a name tag. That's okay. Okay. Next is kind of tricky. I have never been able to do this next part on a machine. I usually use rivets because I could not figure out how to get it under my machine. So what we're going to do is we have to mark our flaps here. I get my stuff that I use for my bottom. Okay, so our lines that we just sewed on the bottom, our 1 inch lines on each side, are kind of gonna be our spot that we're going to. So we want to measure 3.5 inches up from the side of the flap. Mark that. And then we're gonna do it at an angle down to this left side of our rectangle that we just sewed on the bottom of our wallet, and mark a line. And then we're gonna do the same thing on the other side. I know this seems weird, but this is just the way it works for me. So you don't have to do it my way if you have a different way. So I don't know if you can see right there and right there. I just marked 2 lines going in. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to try and line up this piece with that line as best I can, right there, and fold it over. And I'm gonna put a clip or 2 on there. And I'm gonna do the same with the other piece here. It's just such a funky place to try and sew. I just feel like doing rivets is easier and doesn't frustrate me like it does to sew. Okay, so that's what it should look like. That's where my lines are along the crease. And I put my little flaps in there. And we're gonna put rivets in here to hold those together. So we need to do our other side real quick. part does not have to be perfect either, guys. Like, I don't think it's gonna be noticeable if it's off. Okay, and clip the other side. Just like that. Okay. Awesome. See that? And then when we put it together, it's just going to be like an accordion. I like how I did my snap at 2.25 because it gives it more space in here. So maybe you can fit a phone in the middle or a little bit more stuff, because usually when you do it, it's just a little too tight the other way. So I like the 2.25. I'm gonna go get my rivet press and my punch and show you how I do the rivets, and we'll also rivet the wrist strap. Okay, I got my press, my rivet press. This is a super cool tool. I don't know how I did rivets before I had this. I just got it off of Amazon. So I will try and find the link for it. It's just amazing. It does rivets so easily and nicely. No hammering, no frustrations like that. So I use this a lot. This is also just a whole leather punch, and it's got different sizes, and I use it to punch the holes for the rivets. So I'm just gonna put one little, helps if I hold it right, one little rivet in my wrist strap here. And I get my rivets off of Etsy. I think it's called Abby Tops. I'll find the link for that too and post it below. They take a while to ship to you, but they come in large amounts and it's a great price. And they're good quality. They're good quality rivets. I've bought rivets from Hobby Lobby and they kind of stink. They're not that great. These rivets are amazing. So that's our rivet on our wrist strap. Now for these, just carefully take off your clips. And you're just gonna kind of eyeball where you want your rivet to go. Just try and make it even on all of your pieces, okay? So that there looks good. I'm gonna put all my, well, maybe not, because it might be too hard. I'll just put this in and do them one by one. You do have to bend your wallet all funky to get it in there, but don't worry, it'll be fine. It'll bend back, I promise. Okay. And there's my first rivet right there. Okay. Go below your zipper tab on this because you don't want to have that be too hard to punch through. This is just kind of boring and time consuming, which is usually why I skip this part, but somebody wanted me to, they commented that they wanted to see me do it, so if this is boring to you, just fast forward to the end. All right, stick that under there. And that's your 2 rivets. See, you don't have to stick that under your machine. Like, it's just so hard to get under, at least for mine. Maybe if I had a cylinder arm, it would be easier, but this, it's so hard to get under. Just do your other side now. All right, last one. All done. Guys, awesome. Look at that. Oh, and then we can put a wrist strap on too. Ooh, that's pretty. There it is. Look at that. Open it up. Turned out great. Yay, hopefully this video helps you figure out how to put this wallet together. It seriously is an amazing pattern. It's so fun. Once you get the hang of it, you can just whip them out, and it's so pretty. It's so useful. Like, I use one of these wallets every day that I make, and people commented on all the time. It's just such an amazing pattern. So if you have any questions for me, please feel free to comment below, and I pay attention and I look and I read. Subscribe to my channel, like my videos, and let me know if there's anything that you want to see, any patterns that you're wanting to see made, or something, a technique that you were wondering about. I'd be happy to help. Thanks, guys.